Today we're going to make a three-dimensional snowflake, and you need to do that you need 3 of the same pattern, something crocheted. I choose the same pattern and I did it in 2 colors, just so you can see the difference in how each color reacts with the pattern. This is the pattern I chose right there, and I don't know if you can notice, but that was how the example was. But this is a coaster. It's not a doily, it's not a snowflake, it's a coaster. So you need to take and make a grid so you can starch this and keep it, or block it and keep it straight while it's drying. You take a piece of paper and you mark it 1-inch intervals this way, 1-inch intervals that way, and then you draw lines. You do the same way going this way. You mark 1 inch there and 1 inch there, and then you draw the lines. And that gives you your grid to keep things square. You tape it to a piece of cardboard, and then you need to put a piece of wax paper or plastic wrap, whatever, on the top of it, and that's just to keep the doily from sticking to the paper. Not the doily, I'm sorry, the snowflake from sticking to the paper, because you starch it with a diluted glue and water mixture. You pin it on and you leave it sit until it's dry. All right, so we have our working surface. I'm going to select the red one so you can see it easier, and off camera I'll do the white one. So when I crochet, I have a very tight tension, so none of it comes out exactly the same, but if you put them together, they should all be pretty close to the same size, and it looks to me like they are. So that isn't going to help me decide which is the back and which will be the sides, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick one. And my pins, I just use some old stick pins, because these little stick pins went on sale. So I got some of those because they're easier for my fingers to hold on the tip. And my sewing pins got delegated to starching snowflakes. I like to use the longer ones that I had bought for my quilting for my first choice, because they're longer. And what to do is, there is the center, so I want to try and put my starting circle in that mark, if I can find it. Okay, it's right there. And then I want to pick a consistent point and pull him out and stick it in. And then I want to go to the opposite side, pick the same point and pull him out. So we have them starched or pinned there. And over here I want to go to the middle point and pick my line, and over here on this side, so you want to just keep going back and forth. Okay, I need to go this way just a little bit because that one is just a little off center, and I want to check to make sure that the middle of this is on my middle line, and it is very much so. So now I just want to keep going ahead and working opposite each pin until I have it nice and snug. It doesn't have to be perfect, because snowflakes are not perfect. Oh, I can But see, this cardboard is too thin. So we're just, for now, going to take this. So I can stick these guys in here. Because after a while, you can only use the cardboard so much. And it gets poked too full of holes that nothing holds. So you have to get rid of it. And these are new cardboard pieces. You can see why I like to use the longer pins, because it's easier. Okay, so there we have it. You can see the beginning of this snowflake, and it's going to be very pretty. And now when I get the perimeter framed up, I look for any problem spots that might be in the middle, and then just kind of help them to establish their point or their pattern, so it actually becomes very lovely. And like I said, it's not going to be perfect because it's not machine made, it's man-made. So no stitches are going to even be remotely identical, but they are going to be similar. See, now with that extra round of pins, isn't that lovely? That just amazes me. How pretty that is. Okay, we're back, and I have the white one pinned on. So that's ready for a coating of the diluted glue water. And here's the two. I think they're very pretty. I think it was a good pattern to choose from. And I found when I put my white motifs together, one of them was actually a little bigger. So I chose that one for the one that you will be gluing straight, but I made sure not to stretch it very tight, so it should be good enough to fit these. When I block these, I'll stretch them a little bit tighter. But this one I just kind of tried to lay out so it was formed and then nice and flat. And the next step you're going to want to do is set these two aside, and you're going to need something to make the side ones. So you're going to need a box. When these are going to go across it like this, and that will give you, start to help you form the dimension. But you're going to have to decide, because when you crochet, there's a right side and there's a wrong side. See if you can see. Okay, this is the right side because this is the side I stitched from. This is the wrong side. It's the side that I did not stitch from. So it's smoother. This one has more detail. So you're gonna have to decide which side you want to actually be facing like this, because this is the side you're actually going to see. And I think I'm going to go with the side I stitched from, the right side. I think fold it in half. Because we're going to go this way with it. And I think that'll work. If not, we'll try it a different way. Because I'm thinking that, okay, so because this is pretty critical, that we want to be able to reuse this because we have to do this twice, I'm going to try and get some plastic off this thing, covering instead of wax paper. And I really hate this stuff. Okay, so we're going to lay it like this. And we'll tape it down. And then we'll tape this side. Trying to keep it a little snug because everything that's in there that shouldn't be, like a wrinkle or something, will alter your snowflake. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. We'll take the red one. Again, I have already decided, and all these tails from crocheting, we'll cut the middle one off because that's going to be pretty much glued down, but this tail will allow to hang out till we're done because it's not crocheted in like the center tail is. This is just tied, I don't know if you can see it, tied off. It's not woven back in to secure it. We need to find, so you can see there's that pattern and then there's the loop. Well, we put this pattern on the center line. That's what we're going to have to do. And we need to I didn't fold it this way to give myself. How about if we start over again? We're going to fold it in half this way, and then we'll fold it in half this way, because I didn't put my center, true center of the paper and draw a line like I did those. Okay. Either way, this is going to have to come off, so let's just take it off. Take this off. And we'll start all over again. And we'll put this on here. Because see, now I have this crease that I can follow. And we'll... yeah, it's a trial and error. All right, now we can bring our plastic back over. And we can tape it back down. And that put us all of 30 seconds behind. All right, so we already know we're going to go with this pattern and not this one. So we find our center mark and we put this on our center mark and we stick pin. I always start at the crease there and pull it a little snug. Stick her in. Same thing here, because we sew there, so now we got to find the same pattern directly across. Put it in there, pull it snug, and stick it. And there. You can start wherever you want to on the pattern. But try when you shape it then to make, if you started in a loop, make that your first starting point on the pivotal points, which is the creases. Attention to details, because simple as pin in the wrong position drastically alters your snowflake shape and the way it's going to perform. Okay, now the edge is done, so I'm going to pull these little pine cones, or pineapples, I'm sorry, they're not pine cones, they're called pineapples. And those are made by clusters in your crocheting stitch. I'm going to pull those up so it helps create a neat little shape. And I think the whole process is neat. And I was very, very pleased when I discovered I knew how to do this, or I could figure out how to do this. And it's relatively simple. It just takes a lot of stick pins. So you can see, and I hope you can see, that the pattern is almost perfectly across, and that's exactly what we want, because this will dry into this shape, and that's the shape that you will glue into the middle here. And that's something we'll cover when we get. I'm just not real happy that this hasn't got that sharp of a bend, but we'll fix it as we go. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other one, the white one, and then we'll be back. Glue water that I made with, I tried to get it equal parts of glue and equal parts of water. Any kind of glue, Eileen's Tacky Glue or Elmer's glue or Crazy Art glue, any of that stuff works. I just can't find my Crazy Art glue. Paintbrush will do. I use, you can get them at Walmart, those packages of brushes. I haven't been able to find them at Dollar Tree yet, but they're the little packages of brushes that are disposable. And I like to use these because the brushes, the bristles are stiffer, and I like how they fit my hand. And instead of throwing them away, I just wash them off and use them many, many times. Now when you do this, you want to try and be careful not to get any of the glue water in the little intricate holes of your crocheting, because it will fill them up with glue and you'll lose that stitching that makes your pattern unique and beautiful. It'll take a long time to do this. Don't be skimpy on the glue water mixture, because this is what's going to hold the shape of your pattern. And you want to try and get all three sides of the yarn or the string or whatever medium you use, the two sides and the top, saturated, because you don't do the back side. You could glue the back side, but I've never seen a need for it because this soaks in so well, which glues the back string to the front and the side strings. So that's just kind of an overkill. But if you find that it's not stiff enough to hold its shape when you take it off the cardboard, then by all means flip it over and glue the back side. It's slow, but you want to be careful, because if you don't do this right, your snowflake isn't going to stand up and become the thing of beauty that I know you can create. I'll be back shortly. And the red one. Isn't this amazing? Could you imagine this as a doily in a red, or a maroon rather, I'm sorry. It's well on its way to drying too. We're going to start the same process. It uses a lot of glue water, so I ran out. I had to mix up more, but we're going to repeat the process with this, and then we're going to let it dry. I will come back up here probably tonight to check it. If it's dry, I'll take these off and put the last two on. You know, I was starching this, and I was sitting here thinking that this isn't going to give us, because you have the flat part, and then you have these we're making, and the starch we have is kind of like that. Okay, versus the back one. And I want more of a angle on this. So I was thinking, what if I were to cut my box open and bend it more so that it would go, see, when the box is like this. Okay, so if I were to bend it, and that's the shape my dimensional part is, but if I were to increase the angle to something like that, now you can see my snowflake is going to stick out. Whereas if I go with the original shape of the box, that's what we get. But I want it like that. So let us just retape this box and let's see if we can make this, if we can contort this enough. And I don't know how I'm going to get this to stay. Didn't rip my tape long enough for one thing. So let's just go ahead and increase the angle to something like that. Let's tape that. So see, the angle is going to look like that, and that's what I want. Whereas if we were to leave it, it's going to look like that. Now, with that being said, do we want to do an experiment and leave the white one normal and the maroon one contorted? Or do we just go ahead and do it to both? I hope you can see the difference. Okay, I went and distorted this one too, so it's going to have a sharper bend. And I had to mix up more glue water, so I thought, well, let's just see what happens. And I have this Polymark dimensional fabric paint that's silver pearl iridescent, and I thought, let's try it. So we're just going to dump some of this in here. It's almost gone too, so we'll just dump a good healthy bunch in there. Stir it up. See what happens here. I don't think much is going to happen. But I'm making more glue, which is good, because whatever I do to that one, I'm going to have to do to that one. Yeah, I don't see much happening here. Nothing much. So let's add some of this Studio something or other sparkly stuff I got for 20 cents a long time ago. Clearance. We're going to dump some of this in because I know this stuff is amazing. Oops. This will definitely give us some glitter here. It doesn't look much different. It's there. Let's just say that's enough. We'll set that to the side and we'll stir this in, and hopefully I'll have enough to do this one. The other bent one I have to make, and if I don't have enough for that back one, then I guess we'll have to figure something else out. Let's see, it doesn't look real different, but we are ready to start this one. Oh, you should see the glitter coming up on it. This is gonna be so cool. We'll be back.